Ooh. 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 What ended up being wrong with the camera / stream PC? I needed to put I didn't install graphics card drivers on my streaming PC. I normally just don't give a about it because it's my streaming PC. I don't know who the is. But since I'm using a GPU now to do the encoding, I figured I probably actually needed those. So that fixed that problem. And then for some reason it stopped recognizing my HDMI capture card. I really don't know why. I restarted it 3 times because that's what you're supposed to do. And I went into the settings and I looked at a bunch of and then it started working. And I think maybe, I don't know why. Does the AV encoder work now? Yes, my GPU is doing work. My CPU is at 10%. And Chrome is still kind of laggy. I think Chrome is just a dog browser. How old is your Re 20? I don't know. What do you mean? It's a microphone. Does it matter? Can you try Edge again? I prefer to Goon. Get the $2,000 Newman mic thing? I don't even know if you'd be able to hear that much of a difference. I don't think it's worth. Have you heard of Vivaldi browser? No. There's got to be some weird interaction happening. I treat Chrome like shit with 30 tabs open. It is still chugging a lot. Does that PC still do it when you're not capturing streaming? I think it's because I think there's just like different types of things you can have open that fuck your shit up. Like, I don't know if DGG chat does it, but I have DGG chat, Kick chat, and YouTube chat, plus a YouTube like browser window thing. So I don't know if it's like some combination of these things are up, or I don't know. But also having 30 tabs open won't lag any of your stuff because your tabs, if they're just tabs like in the background, they're not actually loaded. Hello? Okay. Wait. Test. Okay, sorry. I don't know why that was turned off. But yeah, having if you have like tabs in the background, they're not actually occupying any resources, so it doesn't matter. Wait, sounds worse? Wait, did I have this on or off? Wait, somebody said earlier I was quiet. I can never tell who's trolling me. I don't know anymore. You know what? It's fine. As long as I'm in the yellow in OBS, I don't care. Fuck it. Never mind. Who said that? Banned him. I think Linus Tech Tips found that poorly coded extensions caused the most slowdown in Chrome. Yeah, I guess what I don't understand, I don't know if you need like a comp sci degree or I don't know how much you'd have to study. I don't know how poorly coded software can fuck you if you have a CPU that's just so many times faster than what you should ever need for whatever. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. I guess I don't know how all the underlying architecture works. How all the OSI layers come together to make your shit laggy. I just don't know. I'm not sure. God, these new Windows audio menus are just so bad. I can't do it. They still have the legacy menus. Thank God. There's a thing called RTX video enhancement that AI upscales video content in supported browsers like Chrome, and for me it causes a lot. Okay, why is it AI upscaling? Isn't it just upscaling? Not every single thing that a computer does has to be AI now. What? AI is the new cloud computing. I understand what you're saying though. It's in the NVIDIA control panel under Adjust Video Settings. Don't care. There could be a communication bottleneck that you have to account for when building a PC. The speeds must match for your CPU, RAM, and motherboard because one of them can be limiting your performance. They don't have to match. One can still limit you, but it doesn't mean that as long as there's no limiting factor there, it shouldn't matter, no. Can you explain why you don't like Tulsi Gabbard? I wasn't super into politics in 2020, but remember thinking she was one of the better candidates and that I'd vote for her. Standard anti-establishment dipshit. Could summarize her entire platform. What are the odds Harris wins Pennsylvania? No clue. $300 comments. You gonna bet money on the election? I already lost my money on Biden. I'm not betting again. Fuck that. Yeah, if it was easier, I would. It's just annoying as fuck to move money to those platforms. And I think on Predicted, I think you can only do it with a like credit card, and you get charged a fee. Fuck that shit. Speaking of gambling. Did you not get a refund? I don't think so. If you bet on Biden winning and Biden ends up dropping out, that shouldn't be a refund. That should be a loss. Because that's my guess is going to be that's part of what the odds are factoring in when people are betting, right? Wait, portfolio value. Wait, what? Oh, wait, some of these bets might have just been on a Democrat winning, actually. Hold on. I don't know how to read this site. In the spirit of being more aggressive, why didn't you push Sam Harris on his friendly relationship with guys like Douglas Murray and his obsession with anti-SJW stuff? I mean, I pushed back against some of the anti-SJW stuff a little bit. I don't know enough about Douglas Murray to counter any of that. We didn't get into anything super contentious, but I think I pushed back on the Islam stuff about as much as I could without us doing an hour of Israel-Palestine. I don't know what market my money is invested in. I don't know how to work this fucking website. Investment. I click this, and then it says My Markets, and all it shows me is 2024 presidential election winner, which I'm at a $900 loss on. But then it says my portfolio value is $1,246. So I'm guessing I have one or two other markets open. How do I see this? Also, why do I have $450 of cash in this account? I don't know what you did, but your mic sounds like dog shit. Is my mic actually different right now? Hold on. Also, why do I have $450 of cash in this account? Okay, this guy's trolling. Oh, nice. You spam the same message trolling. What compressor thing do you use for your mic? You had an all-in-one thing, right? Yeah, I've got a very expensive interface right now. And it uses a software compressor. I had a channel strip, called it Art Pro Voice 2. Those two. Wait. Modern programming languages allow people to easily create apps without needing to understand memory management. It's heavily enabled today's waves of subpar extensions and shoddy software. Wow. Yesterday you told me about being careful not to chase the high on ADHD meds. I realized that actually having something you want to accomplish with your focus is important as well. True. How about Oasis reuniting yet? Really looking forward to them playing in the States. Oasis. Are they the Wonderwall people? Name some things you disagree with Tulsi about. Please be specific. Well, I don't remember anything about her. I think she came off as like a Russian simp. And I think she came off as an anti-institutional dipshit. That was my only recollection of her, is that she's a bog standard copy paste anti-establishment person. What to do if you have no passion to do things, even hobbies? I have no idea. We're not doing anything until I figure out how to see what markets my predicted account is invested in. Do you think investment is just life? No, it says portfolio value is $1,250. What is my portfolio? It can't possibly be this. It can't be this thing. Oh, it is this thing. Never mind. It is. I understand now. Because I have bought Trump no's and Joe Biden yeses. And Trump was ahead when I bought my Joe Biden yeses. So if Biden is now crashed out, but Trump loses, I still win. I'm always winning. I'm always winning. I can't lose.
That's all right. That's all right. Shit, I don't fuck. I'm winning anyway. I'm winning. I'm winning any motherfucking way. I can't lose. Shit, you can shoot me, but you can't kill me.
Absolutely. Based. This war and suffering could have easily been avoided if Biden admin/NATO had simply acknowledged Russia's legitimate security concerns regarding Ukraine's becoming a member of NATO, which would mean U.S./NATO forces right on Russia's border. With the 5 advanced focus taking games mostly off the menu, are we going to accidentally lose some annual content? We need another Yi/Pepe Olympics. Since when was that annual? Didn't we do one of those? Why is every random early Game of Thrones scene so fucking good? Uh-oh. What did he link?
Thank the gods you're here, Stark. About time we had some stern northern leadership.
Glad to see you're protecting the throne.
Steady old thing. How many king's asses have polished it, I wonder? And what's the line? The king shits and the hand wipes.
Very handsome armor. Not a scratch on it.
I know. People have been swinging at me for years, but they always seem to miss.
Chosen your opponents wisely, then.
I have a knack for it.
God damn. The bands.
Must be strange for you, coming into this room. I was standing right here when it happened. It was very brave, your brother. And your father, too. They didn't deserve to die like that. Nobody deserves to die like that.
But you just stood there and watched.
500 men just stood there and watched. All the great night.
Jaime really wants Ned's approval. You ever notice that in these early seasons? Jaime's like, he is kind of like a playboy, fuckboy, piece of shit, like showy kind of guy. But also I think he really does look up to and admire and respect Ned. And I think he really does want his respect. Like, it is important to him.
Knights of the Seven Kingdoms, you think anyone said a word, lifted a finger? No, Lord Stark. 500 men, and this room was silent as a crypt. Except for the screams, of course. And the Mad King laughing. And later, when I watched the Mad King die, I remembered him laughing as your father burned. It felt like justice.
Is that what you tell yourself at night?
Oof.
You're a servant of justice. That you were avenging my father when you shoved your sword in Aerys Targaryen's back.
Tell me, if I stabbed the Mad King in the belly instead of the back, would you admire me more?
You served him well. When serving was safe.
Oof. Whoa, shit. House clip. Who is running this channel? They still put out videos like, look, 4 minutes ago. Who's in charge of this? Who would have been a better king, Ned or Tywin? Oh man. That's a good question. Who wins in a fight, Ned or Jaime? I haven't read the books. My guess would be Ned, because Ned is just way more. Ned is a soldier. He's got more combat experience. Jaime's a good warrior, but Ned is like. Well, but is Ned known for his ability to fight though? I don't think he is actually. Robert Baratheon was probably more the fighter guy. I think he was the guy who was like a monster. Jaime is the greatest fighter of his generation. Yeah, but in the show, Jaime's like Bruce Lee. Like, everybody says he's a really good fighter, but he never really proves it. You never really see anything. But maybe in the background, maybe more. Okay, he's trolling. What are impressive victories that that Jaime has that showcases how good of a swordsman he is in the Game of Thrones TV show? when he pushes that kid out of the window. He crippled a kid with one hand. He nearly wins against Brienne with his left hand starved and in handcuffs. Do you think Brienne was trying her hardest there to kill him? Wait, I can't tell if you guys are actually fucking retarded. He beats Brienne after being a POW for a year. Brienne's probably not trying to kill him. This is like the most important thing that Brienne has. What are you talking about? Okay, you guys are on vacation. He doesn't have any wins in the show. It's all off screen in the books. Yeah, I think there's like one fight that he has early on with Ned where he kills like his guard or whatever. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Kill Cersei with falling rocks. True. Do you think this retard is being serious?
There's a video of Kamala Harris going around that she cracked an egg with one hand and like is some sort of hero.
Okay.
You can do it one-handed.
Yeah.
You're a pro.
Yeah, come on
just
now.
put them right back.
Okay.
Wow.
People are really torn about this. Do you break an egg on the rim of something, or do you break it on a table? People have really strong opinions about this. Holy shit. I'm trying to think of how he did it in the casino. I feel like it didn't matter. I feel like nobody actually cares about this. Because you could break it on the... I feel like it was easier to break it on the table. You could break it on the pan, but if you fucked it up on the pan, you get so many eggshells in. But if you did it on like the table... But I don't think it mattered that much. Usually... I don't know why people care about this so much. When was the last time you cooked an egg? I don't know, like a decade ago? But I probably cooked more eggs in my casino time than you'll cook in your life. What do you mean? It was a breakfast diner. It's easier on a flatter surface because I found the crack will be more consistent. Yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like on the flatter surface, it was always like the same shit. Whereas on depending on like the angle and the exact area that you hit it on like which part of the egg you hit is variable too much, yeah. Do you fuck up breaking eggs? Sometimes you do, yeah. The yolk will crack, that's fucked. Or sometimes like a little eggshell will get in. But you can always just like knock the eggshells out. It's not that big of a deal. The worst thing is if you fuck the yolk up. Trial by combat for your life. Which Game of Thrones character are you taking? Probably Daenerys or Jon Snow, because those two are unkillable. They're unkillable. Plot armor. Did you see EFAP make fun of your take? On which thing? There's a time and a place for Game of Thrones, which is incredibly seven-dimensional.
Yeah.
Okay. God bless the ending that show. And there's also a time and a place for Lord of the Rings, which is incredibly one-dimensional.
Whoa.
Wow. Don't understand how there's a place. Oh. People get mad because people assume that complex equals good and simple equals bad. Lord of the Rings, at least the movies, are entirely simple tropes. But that's fine. There's nothing wrong with simple tropes. And then other things try to be more like political or nuanced or whatever. Lord of the Rings has no nuance. There is no nuance or politics or anything like that in Lord of the Rings, which is fine. There doesn't need to be. That's not the type of That's just not the type of movie, show, or whatever it is. But people hear that and they're probably going to be mad.
Wow.
I don't understand. How does this? The dye has seeped into his brain. I don't understand.
Lord of the Rings is incredibly one-dimensional. Like, Lord of the Rings is there's loads of aspects that are complicated. There's way more to say about Lord of the Rings than simply the one dimension of the good guys fight the bad guys, so to speak.
It's literally pissing me off because bad guy and the goodest.
Yeah, the baddest bad guy versus the goodest good guy.
Yeah, I know what he's saying too. He's just saying it badly.
Yeah, he's really not praising this very well.
If you want to scale it, I think if you want to scale it, I don't think Lord of the Rings should be the 1 on the 1 to 10. I don't think it should be. I think it's more complicated than that.
I think because even if you
phrasing it as one-dimensional,
it really is just. Oh, sorry, Mark. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying phrasing it as one-dimensional is insane because all he should have just said the morality in Lord of the Rings is much more clear-cut.
There's
a clear divide between good and evil. That's a point that makes sense. Saying it's one-dimensional is like, well, I mean, not exactly. Like that's really kind of
let me just
ultra.
Let me just lay this out, right? So,
would you say Harry Potter is one-dimensional too? Maybe one-dimensional isn't the best word, but like, yeah, Harry Potter's pretty trope-ish. Actually, no. Actually, I don't know if I would say that. Because I feel like with characters like Snape and Dumbledore make things a little bit more... And even Voldemort to some extent, right? The whole Tom Riddler stuff. I think the characters have a little bit more... they're a little bit more... I'm trying not to say one-dimensional. They're more multi-dimensional. I'm trying to use a word besides dimension. Now I realize it's a huge trigger word.
If 1 is the simplistic, they're clearly on either good or bad, and 10 is it's really hard to tell because of all the details and dimensions. It's like take trying to get like a complicated-ish character in terms of how they maneuver the world. Maybe a Tywin Lannister. Like, is he strictly evil? It's like, well, I think there's more complications to that. And you have to go through his history, blah, blah, blah. And then vice versa, you might be like, okay, Sauron. You're like, well, yeah.
Fuck, don't get me into this. What a waste of time debating this. Is Tywin strictly evil? I don't know if Tywin is evil at all. I don't know if you could ever classify Tywin as evil in any concept of the word. Tywin only cares about his family. That's it. Does he do evil things? Does Tywin do evil things? I mean, like, he definitely can do some bad things. Like, we could argue, like, the Red Wedding is. But even at that, is Tywin the one that says, why is he the one that says to Tyrion, is 10,000 men on a battlefield, dead on a battlefield more noble than, 10 people dead in a, at a dinner? I don't know. I don't know if I would. He has like, yeah, he's got like flashes of evil, but he also has flashes of good too. I don't know. He orders the mountain to rape and pillage the Riverlands. Well, yeah, but people just kind of did that back then, We all do a little bit of rape and pillaging. But it was also because the people in the Riverlands, weren't they supporting the what were they called? Like the Bannerless Knights or some bullshit? Like, yeah, I don't think Tywin is sadistic. I don't think Tywin is ever doing like crazy evil shit. Usually it's all pretty purposeful to ensure the integrity of the kingdom or the safety of his family. But
like, is he strictly evil? It's like, well, I think there's more complications to that. And you have to go through his history, blah, blah, blah. And then vice versa, you might be like, okay, Sauron. You're like, well, yeah, okay, he's definitely evil. But I think you can flip this pretty easily.
I want to hear this. How do you flip this easily? Please tell me. Okay, I'm ready for this.
Ramsay Bolton, nobody's going to defend him as anything other than pure evil.
Well, yeah, but that's why I think I usually specify. The last 4 seasons, I even make fun of this. Ramsay is evil. Ramsay is super evil. He's the evilest evil. He's so evil, he rapes women. He has women and their children eaten by dogs. Yes, but the whole last 4 seasons of Game of Thrones moves entirely in the more tropish direction.
Essentially a Sauron-level character. And Ned Stark is often just described as basically the pure good. Do
you think that when people hear one-dimensional is always inherently bad, or are they just... or are they just a very good, concise character throughout? When people hear one-dimensional, people think it's bad because people think complex is always better. I don't know why or where this came from. Maybe it's like a Western thing. A really good example of this was when video games obsessively tried to be more realistic. And I remember the height of this is like you'd get into a fight in DayZ and then you're crouched somewhere and you're manually loading single bullets into your magazine before you load the magazine into the gun. And like you'd have to keep track of the magazines in your inventory and make sure that you were using loaded magazines for your... It's like, Jesus, bro, I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. Holy fuck. Let me just push R and reload. I don't need to worry about this ever. Okay? I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, sometimes people get really obsessed with like complexities and like some simple things are just really good. I don't know. Most of the music or a lot of the music that I like is very simple. Is like very simple, very straightforward. There's a lot of complex stuff I really don't like, but I don't know.
Good guy. But then take someone like Denethor or someone like Boromir. These characters are a little bit more complicated than the good is good or the bad is bad or anything like that, right? And I just feel like at this point we would just be cherry picking. And
is Denethor one of the human leader guys? Boromir was like he was like kind of a good dude, but he was like tempted by the power of the ring, right? I guess you could say he's like kind of conflicted, but
it almost feels unfair to Lord of the Rings to be like, you're the simple one where Sauron is evil and everyone has to stop Sauron.
It is, though. Lord of the Rings is very simple, but that's not bad. Lord of the Rings is almost like a perfect trilogy. There's nothing wrong with like being tropish and simple and straightforward, right? A lot of anime, a lot of shonen is like that. It's like pretty simple and straightforward. Death Note, the characters are all insanely one-dimensional. They're copy-pasted tropish, like the psychopathic guy who thinks he's God and wants to do good, but he's like selfish and crazy, and then the crazy artistic detective dude, like I don't know.
Because he's a big evil and he's going to do evil. It's like, well, there's a hell of a lot going on.
It's more like generalities with the different factions in the world, right? In Lord of the Rings you have these factions which are good or evil, and in Game of Thrones it's more like a bit gray.
And like
I don't think it's just the folly of complex is good, but that specifically one-dimensional is a term used for an absence of complexity being part of a work's failings. It's just a matter of negative loading, in my opinion. I guess, yeah, one-dimensional can come off as negative. I mean, that's fair. I don't know how else to describe it, though. Morally, the characters have less moral ambiguity, maybe. I feel like people would still get ass mad, but I don't know.
In those terms, you can actually agree with that, but
sometimes it feels
like it sounds like all of them know what I meant. They just got triggered hearing that one-dimensional word.
When it comes down to specific characters, there's definitely a lot more nuance there.
Yeah, there's so much interesting things to talk about.
Well, so in the Lord of the Rings, you've got like characters like Boromir and Denethor and whoever else, I guess Faramir to a lesser extent. They get tempted by the ring, which then gives them much more, I guess, ambiguity on the scale of.
No, it really doesn't. No, there is no ambiguity at all. Like they are tempted by the ring. The ring is bad. They're good people. Do all of these people? Not all of them are redeemed. The Boromir guy is redeemed. The crazy father guy is not redeemed, who jumps off and kills himself. Why is the ring bad? Because it gives you absolute power. And absolute power corrupts. Absolutely.
Of good to evil. But in the context of the Lord of the Rings, if we're just taking the films, they're basically being corrupted by something that is just absolute evil. Like, that's not ambiguous. Yeah. And whether Destiny knows that, I have no clue. But yeah,
films,
if he's comparing that...
You know, like
if he's
Gollum,
comparing
for
that to Game of Thrones... Yeah, well, because like Gollum is definitely a complicated character, but the fact that the ring is like pure evil, like,
is Gollum a complicated character? Maybe if you watch The Hobbit, maybe he's more complicated, but
I don't know if Destiny knows that necessarily. I'm not sure.
So this is the thing. I actually do think that there are aspects that someone could list to be like, see, Lord of the Rings is more one-dimensional, but I'd be like, but there are plenty of those in Game of Thrones. It's just like,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy to concede Lord of the Rings isn't as politically complicated, but I mean, I wouldn't want to undermine Lord of the Rings. And obviously this is the more interesting conversation out of all these clips, because the rest of them are like fucking can't even start, because it's like this thing, my thing I like is actually pro my political thing. You're like, okie dokie, thumbs up. you do you.
Well, I think it's because the central conflict in Lord of the Rings does end up being a lot more clear cut in the end.
No, so this is the problem. It's all POV, because in Lord of the Rings, you've still got to build armies and connections that are complicated with people who may or may not have the same motivations as you. In Game of Thrones, all of it eventually comes to a head of we have to fight the army of undead monsters that simply want all things to be dead. That's not exactly complicated.
You have the historic feud between the elves and the dwarves, for instance.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't make me defend season 8 of Lord of the Rings. Jesus Christ, that's technically not really the biggest conflict in Game of Thrones. Or did I say season 8 of Lord of the Rings? Game of Thrones. That's technically not the biggest conflict in Game of Thrones at the end, even though the whole show is kind of like building up to it. At the end, it ends up being Cersei versus Daenerys, or like Daenerys versus the world, I guess. But it shouldn't have been that way. It shouldn't have been that way. Oh my God.
It's really
Oh God. Why did we need to see Arya running through the city for like 20 minutes? I feel like there was like 20 minutes of screen time wasted on Arya just running through. Like, we get it. The city's getting blown up. It's dusty. There are people dying. Like, do we really need to see that? For how much of that episode was wasted? Okay, we're going to get another shot of her running. I need you to run through here. Another shot of this. What was the point of the white horse? Oh, God, the white horse. The white horse, true. What would have been a cooler ending storyline for Game of Thrones? Literally any 4chan green text or any meme post on Free Folk or any post basically anywhere on the internet ever would have been a better ending.
To me, it feels unfair to Lord of the Rings when we do it this way, you know?
Well, also,
I would
bear in
completely
mind.
agree with you. I would completely agree with you, Muller, if they actually ended the show on the Army of the Dead and they didn't.
Oh, he's going to bring it up. Oh, look, see, these guys have got it. They're there.
Well, I mean, you're not arguing that they made it complicated and interesting at the end, are you?
No, but it wasn't about the long night.
Make it just pretty clear.
So, yeah.
Okay, now evil is
No. I'm not saying it was a good ending, but
Yeah, but it's not multidimensional. They just say the guy with the best story gets the throne. That's you, Brad, which was just like, what?
I feel like we got to remember as well that like the extended Lord of the Rings is obviously long. It's like what 11 and a half, 12 hours or something. But comparing that to 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, that's like 60 hours of content. It's obviously going to be more complex.
And I guess
well, it doesn't have to be more complex. DBZ is very long. That's not very complex. 5 people in chat right now. What about Vegeta?
Round it out then. I don't know that it's necessarily saying that anything is bad because it's one-dimensional. I just don't think that Lord of the Rings is one-dimensional. I think it's a bit more complicated than that.
Bad example.
Not 100%, no.
I guess if you had like a scale of simple good versus evil story and then, you know, more complicated everyone's Shades of Grey story, Lord of the Rings is probably closer to the simple good versus evil story.
You think? Yeah? The itty-bitty hobbit farmer people against the literal fucking demon eye? Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Than Game of Thrones, but it's not one on that scale.
Yeah.
The politics in Lord of the Rings are simpler because like there's the factions are very far apart. Like Gondor isn't near Rohan, which isn't near Rivendell, and they can kind of just keep to themselves, and there's no war for any one throne. So the conflict in it is just against the big evil kingdom to the Mordor.
Oh, which sorry, it's not over yet. We've got more.
Good. There's a time to play different types of media, I think. Yeah.
But this, I threw this in just because it seemed relevant. This was the recent thing with.
They got there in the end. I think that was okay. Yeah, they all agree with me. I was just provocative with my wording. Which of these is your favorite battle in Game of Thrones? Cringe and lame and stupid and contrived. Why doesn't everybody just use this? Also, is bastard spelled with an A or an E at the end here? Why doesn't everybody just use the shield crush move? Since apparently it's like unbeatable. You just surround everybody and you just push them with the shields until they all get crushed and die. Oh my god. Oh no. It was patched out immediately afterwards. Sansa's like, fuck, maybe I should have told him. Oh no. Battle of the Bastards was shit. It was literally Lord of the Rings. Gandalf shows up at the end with the cavalry to save the day. Except that was different because that was fucking awesome. One, they knew that Gandalf was coming by the light of the whatever bullshit day. Number one. So two, so you had like a purpose or a direction for that entire like fight because you knew that they were like trying to hold off or wait until he comes at the end, and then they have like the big, and they all go riding onto their horses on the fucking things. And wait, am I thinking of the right one or am I mixing it up with the other one? Gandalf shows up. Wait, fuck. I might not be thinking of. Was this Helm's Deep? Is this the one where he's like, ride with me?
Yes.
Oh, and this guy's here too? Oh my god, the soundtrack to Lord of the Rings is so fucking good. This is an amazing soundtrack. Who was it? It's not Peter Jackson's the director. Who did the music for Lord of the Rings?
The Horn of Helm Hammerhand. shall sound in the deep.
Howard Shore. Good performances, good everything. It's a good. These are great movies. Okay. This is the one where the guy shows up, right? And there he is.
Not alone. Go hit him!
The guy going back and forth and doing the speech, the king guy.
Spears shall be shaken. A red day.
If I had a president giving this kind of speech, man, I'd be ready, okay, for the next civil war. Let's go. Fuck. Okay, I don't want to get copyright hit. Anyway. This was cringe. Wait, I dropped a thing. Wait, I dropped a thing and it disappeared. Hello? Just kidding. Play it? No, I'm gonna get copyright. Fucked. Okay. Cringe. So this was cringe and stupid. Oh. This is gonna be the best, but it also has a huge problem. Okay. It also has a huge problem. This was set up cool. This is pretty good. Cringe. Anything that has Daenerys even tangentially related is just tangentially or tangentially? Tangentially is cringe. We watched some YouTube video once and it fucking ruined so much for me. No. Don't turn off the stream for like 10 minutes, okay? Six minutes. Okay, go away. Go away for a second. This ruined me.
What is a neck lift, and why is it important in films? Simply put, it's a movie trope frequently used.
Wait, was this the thing we watched? I feel like it wasn't this cringe. This sounds like a top 10s list cringe. I don't care, whatever. It's probably the same concept.
What is a neck lift, and why is it important in films? Simply put, it's a movie trope frequently used to demonstrate super strength, often applied to make one character appear helpless or outmatched compared to another. It's used a lot in comic book and fantasy movies, so why is this important? Well, unfortunately it has been misused to compensate for bad writing or to fill in for action scenes in PG-13s. Which leads me to a term I've coined called the protagonist throw.
No, it must have been
What
this
is
guy.
that, you ask? It's a neck lift combined with a throw. Originally used for intimidation, the earliest movie I've seen the use of the protagonist throw, and used effectively, is in the original 1985 movie Fright Night, when Jerry the vampire confronts the protagonist Charlie, in order to threaten Charlie into stopping his investigation on our villain. The antagonist demonstrates his super strength by lifting Charlie by the neck, followed by throwing him across the room. Jerry is only threatening Charlie and doesn't necessarily want to kill him, but he could kill Charlie if he really wanted to. An example of this would be shown later in the film when Jerry gets angry and kills a nightclub bouncer by crushing his throat and throwing him across the dance floor. Now, a misuse of this trope would be in the 2011 remake of Fright Night, where Jerry clearly wants to kill Charlie, but for some weird reason grabs his neck and throws him, then intimidates him for no reason, while only 15 seconds earlier Jerry had just grabbed and killed a man with no hesitation. Now, I know there'll be a lot of people raising their hands and saying, well, duh, if Jerry had killed Charlie, then the movie would be over. And they would be absolutely wrong. The movie, where it tries to choke her but isn't quite close enough to get a grip on her throat. About Terminator 2, your subconscious would be gone. In its range.
I feel like we watched a different YouTube video on this. I feel like I would remember this obnoxious fucking music. We must have watched a different video on this. But there's no way it was this one.
Both movies have the same level of success and scores on IMDb. Oh wait, no they don't. Okay, well what about Terminator 2? The T-1000 must at least poke John Connor, right? It almost kills him, but no, it never touches him. And for a good reason.
Is the goal to never enjoy campy things? No, it has to do with like drama. I feel like his other video was so much better than this, or somebody did another video of this. It was more serious. But like in Terminator 2, there's a lot of drama around where is it the T-1000 where the liquid robot guy is? Because if he gets close to you, he will kill you. He will absolutely kill you. And that's an interesting concept. There's never like a time when he's just like throwing people around, I don't think.
IMDb. Oh wait, no they don't. Okay, well what about Terminator 2? The T-1000 must at least poke John Connor, right? It almost kills him, but no, it never touches him. And for a good reason. The T-1000 literally kills anyone within its range. With that in mind, can you imagine it grabbing John and throwing him? No, because that would be stupid, and the suspension of disbelief within the movie would be broken, and the threat of the Terminator within your subconscious would be gone. A movie does not need to be realistic, only believable and internally consistent. When a director pushes an audience beyond what they're willing to accept, the scene fails in the eyes of that audience. As far as science fiction or fantasy is concerned, I know I'm willing to go along with the expiations and explanations.
Wait a second.
Consistent. When a director pushes an audience beyond what they're willing to accept, the scene...
That's the guy. The bonger.
Fails in the eyes of that audience. As far as science fiction...
Wait, is he? Oh, wait, shit. Wait, is that not the same actor? Hold on. Terminator 3. It's just the hair? Oh, Jesus Christ. This doesn't look like him at all. 1 second. Oh, no, never mind. No, it's not.
In the eyes of that audience. As far as science fiction or fantasy is concerned, I know I'm willing to go along with the expiations and explanations of how the movie works. When the laws of the movie are broken, it comes off either contrived or funny. And yes, John Connor should be dead in the scene, and Catherine Brewster should be dead too. In The Mummy, the main protagonist gets thrown around, while everyone else around him gets killed horribly.
It happens so much. It happens so much in this. For literally no reason. And the guy next to him gets insta-killed. He gets insta-gibbed. No plot armor. No plot armor for that poor guy. This isn't Hard Home, though? Oh, I don't know. Which fight was that? Hold on.
Get the glass.
Wait, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. Whoa! Uh-oh. Rip and dead. Instantly. Instant death. Now, what's gonna happen to John here? Well, the guy, he's got a long fucking spear. He just stabbed that one dude. It looks like John's about to get stabbed in the back. Oh, nope. He just taps him on the shoulder and tosses him around. Why not stab him? Wouldn't that make sense when you got a big old stabbing weapon? Another little grab and throw there. Look at him just jump up there. Oh! Same move as below, where he breaks the weapon. Totally unarmed and stunned opponent before you. With your weapon up. Oh my god. Time to stab him, right? Nope. Go ahead and give him a little push. They do this so much, but that's okay. This happened constantly. Show Arya gets stabbed like 12 times and so does a backflip down the street. It's way worse. Oh yeah, the Arya stuff is just way too memey.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Hard.
Oh, we didn't even finish this guy. Sorry. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Huh?
Yeah, okay.
Just so everybody appreciates, it's not that hard to crack an egg with one hand, and you don't want to waste any of the egg white. You'll notice in the video, she just wastes egg white. Like, it doesn't cost $3 a gram. There you go. Make sure it's all out.
No one gives a fuck about the egg white, my dude. What are you gonna diet? Who cares? The yolk is the best part anyway.
By the way, look at that. Anything in there? And if there's anything really still stuck in there, because, you know, you want to make sure you get all...
He's not about to... No shot.
All of it. What you want to do is rub your finger and just...
Literally no one in the history of all of making eggs has ever done this in the history of all of egg kind. Nobody... No, if I saw somebody doing this, they're getting 5150 immediately. We're calling a psychiatric institution and you are being committed because you are... There is some crazy mental problems going on here. What the fuck?
Get all of the extra, that stuff right there, that's food, okay? That's protein right there. That's how hard it is to crack it. By the way, it's not funny.
I can't tell who he's trolling. I don't know if he's trolling, if he's saying that people are too excited about the Kamala clip, or if he's making fun of conservatives saying people are too excited about the Kamala clip, or I don't even know. I don't know what he's supposed to be parodying here.
Neither, Kamala.
He hates Kamala. Okay. Oh wait, you can tell by how they say their name.
By the way, it's not funny either, Kamala.
So he says Kamala, which means he hates her. But he could also be trolling the people who say Kamala. I've started to call her Kamala as a troll on the people that call her Kamala, but now I'm forgetting how to say her name sometimes. It's Kamala. Wait, what? Speaking of things nobody ever does. Men who don't take a piece of toilet paper and dab it off are degenerate scum and shouldn't be allowed in public without supervision. You should always do this, though. Wait, I can't tell if you're trolling or not. You can't at a urinal? Well, sure, you're out in public. For that, you just use your handkerchief. Or you use the guy's shirt next to you. The conservatives in your suburb are trying to push Twitter files 2.0 because Zuckerberg released letters saying Facebook was pressure to censor Hunter Biden's wiener. Nice. Based. Usually there's toilet paper near the urinals. This isn't an issue at home, just at public restrooms. Simply grab a piece from the stall before you start. Okay, nobody's doing this ever. That's wild. Generally, if you're at the stall, or if you're at a urinal, assuming it's like an ordinary urinal, usually what you'll do is before you pee, you just stroke a little bit in the stall so that you're nice and hard. And then after you pee, before the toilet flushes on its own, you dodge to the side to start the auto flusher, and then you push your dick into the porcelain, and then the water comes down and cleans you. And then you shake, and then you go back in. That's usually how I do it. Judge orders Martin Shkreli to turn over all copies of unreleased Wu-Tang album. I thought he already gave these up. Have I forgotten my geography this much, or does this picture not make any sense? Am I crazy? What is this? iShowSpeed is about to start a Southeast Asia streaming tour next week. Who's working here at Dexerto? Hello? Find Malaysia on that map? I don't even remember. It's probably like this thing over here. The Philippines are all the islands, and Malaysia's like the one piece on the... It's like Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, down here. But it's not... They just highlighted... Whoever did the map here just highlighted the wrong part. Somebody Googled, I think this is the Google for just Middle East. The Google map, not even Greater Middle East, just Middle East. Yeah. Rip. So I don't even know how they got this. They would have had to Google the wrong thing. I don't understand. You mean the Mid-East? They used to call it the Near East. Let me go brush my teeth and put back in my dentures. 1 second. He's visiting the Middle East, so the caption was wrong. Oh. Jesus Christ. What is this? Hold on.
Say you ain't roll acting.
I ain't roll acting.
Say you ain't blood.
Wait, this guy just got the shit beaten out of him, right? Or is this, what am I looking at? Are these tattoos or what am I watching?
I ain't blood.
Say you a bitch.
I'm a bitch.
You know what the fuck going on? Dancing. Fuck wrong with you? Yeah, hit them folk. Let me see you hit them folk. How you hit him? Yeah, ooh, he killing that shit. Hey, let me see you hit the reverse. Hit the reverse, pussy ass nigga, hit the reverse nigga. You wanna tap my whole nigga, hit the reverse nigga. All that DMing and shit. Show me how to dance, nigga.
I don't know how to dance.
I know how to dance. I be dancing my girl dance. You gotta leave dance. You wanna fuck my hoe? Dance. Dance, nigga. Hey, you talking about dance, nigga. Fuck you.
Why? I don't know why I was like this. Okay. Does DGG try to defend your take that both the left and right of cameras are not equal but missed the mark? Could you analyze the video and explain why he is off? Yeah, bro, I saw the link, but it's an hour and 30-minute video.
Yeah, there was a complex of streamers who were also coaxing ETH in certain ways as well. Exactly. Like they made clips about me fucking crying and then blasted it everywhere, making fun of me and being like, dude, imagine like he's fake crying. It's hard. It's hard to.
I like how.
I mean,
Hassan's way of explaining that Leftovers ended and how it was actually DGG's fault, because by the way, we're the source of all evil on the internet. We're the reason why Israel, the genocide is still happening in Palestine, by the way. I like how the explanation is just Ethan is such a fucking retard. He's so stupid and retarded that DGG and Destiny brainwashed him, mind raped him into thinking that Hassan is a bad guy when actually Hassan was a good guy the whole time. It was all DGG's insidious planning behind the scenes and Ethan being a fucking retard. That's the story that Hassan wants to roll with. Okay.
That was a weird ass time, dude. It is what it is. But I think it was, you know, there was a lot of cultist fucking losers, you know? Cultist fucking losers who just spend every waking moment online. And
you stream like 9 hours a day, bro. What? Hello?
Don't know how like normal people operate, you know what I mean?
Yeah? Tell us more, please.
They don't understand like normal human emotion. It's the same principle behind dudes who are like, dude, he got so owned by that.
Normal human emotion? Like you implying that Rittenhouse, some 17-year-old kid that was in a gunfight, ended up killing 2 people, must have been faking tears. Meanwhile, you're up here being like, oh, there was a funeral and they shot at the funeral and it was so sad.
And rip the Palestinian flag.
Oh my God, he's they ripped the Palestinian. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Fine. What a fucking bitch.
You know,
Palestinians can have a moment.
That one guy who turned out to be a fucking ginormous racist. He got IRL cyberbullied. It's like, bro, how do you say that? How do you openly write that online without feeling a fucking
shamelessness? Thoughts on this video showing how relying mostly on low-skill immigrants might not be the best long-term. Oh boy.
Europe
by YouTube channel, Into Europe.
Needs immigration to keep functioning. Or does it? Well, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who was elected on an anti-immigration platform, granted 400,000 worker permits to help address labor shortages. Yet at the same time, following an election defeat, Frans Timmermans, leader of the left-wing PvdA GroenLinks in the Netherlands, has stated that uncontrolled immigration would blow up the Dutch welfare state. These conflicting statements make it pretty hard to know what's actually going on and if immigration is actually good for Europe's economy. To make matters more complicated, most immigration debate in English is about the United States, which receives different immigrants and has radically different labor and welfare systems from that of European countries. And that's why I spent the past couple of weeks diving into some of the most recent studies that have come out on this subject for European countries, to try and navigate the highly politicized topic of immigrants and the economy. And I did all this work reading study after study and navigating government databases just to be called a racist in the comment section. And also to answer the question of whether immigration is actually good for European economies, European workers, what it means for European welfare states in the long run, and seeing what would happen if Europe adopted a Japanese-style approach by severely limiting immigration. Anyways, this is the story of the economics of immigration. This video doesn't have a sponsor and is made possible by Inter-Europe's Patreon supporters. So, Europe is taking in a lot of immigrants and politicians want to have even more. While this policy is partially driven by European sentiments of guilt surrounding colonialism and the impoverishing and destabilizing role it had across the world, Europe's hunger for migrants in the past and today is principally justified through the necessity to tackle three major economic challenges. Europe, like much of the world, is aging rapidly, and this is posing three major economic problems for European countries. The first is that much of Europe is experiencing a demographic-led labor shortage. Because there are fewer people of working age, it's simply harder to find people in sectors like construction, agriculture, as well as skilled labor for jobs like technicians that form the backbone of the economy. A steady supply of labor can help keep labor prices low and help European industries remain competitive. And the thing is that this labor is needed in order to maintain prosperity. Fewer people means fewer goods and services can both be produced but also consumed, which would reduce the overall prosperity of Europe. In other words, with a decreasing population, Europe would experience a form of degrowth, with businesses closing due to a shrinking number of consumers buying their products. And this shrinking prosperity could be a problem if Europe wants to tackle its third challenge, maintaining the welfare states. That's because with more people retiring, the ratio of non-workers to workers in European countries has risen steadily over the past 2 decades, putting a lot of pressure on the welfare state. More old people means more pensions and healthcare spending, which has to be paid for by a shrinking pool of laborers, something that I covered in a previous video. And that's why many European countries have turned to immigration to tackle or at least reduce some of these problems.
I think that sounds agreeable. It doesn't sound like anything I've heard the opposite of. I don't like calling it just the welfare state, though, because I feel like that's a bit misleading. I don't think I don't know. Well, I don't know about this channel, this guy. I don't know if he's trying to. But usually, again, when people think of welfare and welfare drainers, people think of like low-skill immigrants coming in, eating away at all the welfare spending, when in reality, I think it's old people, especially consuming things like healthcare, end-of-life stuff, who aren't working anymore, that are the huge drains on the welfare state at the moment. But I don't know, maybe he'll disagree, we'll see.
Many European countries have turned to immigration to tackle or at least reduce some of these problems. Over the past 2 decades, European countries have opened their doors to large quantities of immigrants, either through regular channels like the Schengen area, the deliverance of additional work permits, its family reunification policy, by opening its doors to refugees, or through irregular channels with migrants crossing the Mediterranean. So can these immigrants help tackle Europe's 3 economic challenges? Well, in order to answer that, we first have to distinguish between different types of immigration. Some of the absolute worst studies and books and news articles that I've read on the subject of immigration have been terrible because they fail to put immigrants into different categories.
Yes. I wonder which categories he uses.
Most do this because they either don't refer to data that makes the distinction, or what I can only assume is to muddle the waters on the actual
I think I always say that they should be broken up into, it should always be legal immigrants, it should be illegal immigrants, and then it should be refugees. You could delineate even further from temporary, like visa workers, low-skill immigrants, high-skill immigrants, people coming in through like family or marriage. I mean, like technically there's a lot of different classifications, but at the very least, you can't speak about all immigrants, illegal and legal, and then refugees and then immigrants. You can't speak about these all with the same brush. You're pulling from such unbelievably different categories that it's stupid to mix them all up.
Impact of different types of immigration. From the studies I've read, there are basically 4 ways to classify immigrants, which I'll have to jump in between when talking about immigration's economic impact. The first classification is between high-skilled and low-skilled, with a separate subcategory for refugees, which is often used to study economic impact and employment rates. The second is a distinction between EU and non-EU migration, which from what I could tell is mainly because of how EU immigrants are a separate category in most demographic and economic data produced by Eurostat.
For EU immigration, if you're in the Schengen area, I don't even know if you have to, I imagine you have to register somewhere, but any EU citizen in the Schengen zone can move to any other EU state, right? Is there even like a formal process for it? Like if you're French and you want to move to Germany, you can just do that, right? I don't think you have to, I don't think.
The Statistics Bureau of the European Union. This is also pretty useful since EU versus non-EU tends to match up pretty closely, though
people don't already do that. So like when Republicans complain about immigrants, they lump in foreign students, worker visa returners, and people immigrating through family. Yeah, this happened with every debate I've had. I think even the last one I had with Lauren and the weird European duders, I think they were doing it a little, but people like to just talk about all these people as though they're like the same category. It's really silly.
Not perfectly with the high-low skill divide. The third is nearly exclusive to Denmark, which separates immigrants according to their country of origin. And finally, another type of data focuses on the type of permits people come on, whether it be for work, study, family reunification, or as refugees, which again can be used for comparing the effectiveness of different entry points for immigrants and how they affect the labor market. So now that we know about the distinctions, back to the first of our 3 economic problems. Do immigrants prevent labor shortages in critical jobs? And actually, do immigrants work at all? Well, according to official data, a majority of immigrants do end up working, but there are some pretty big disparities between groups in terms of employment. If we look at the statistics from Eurostat, EU immigrants actually outpace that of natives, while that of non-EU immigrants is usually quite a bit lower. According to the separate study, refugees are less likely to work compared with other immigrants.
I haven't studied this in depth,
Non-EU immigrants,
but one of the biggest issues is the immigrants, for some reason, going to some countries. Was it immigrants or was it just refugees? I've only heard about this in Sweden, but like you go up to this country and for whatever reason you can't work. Anytime you're taking on a ton of people or having people come to your country and then they're not able to work for whatever reason, that's just fucking retarded. You're always fucking yourself over hardcore there. Why would you ever do that? That's so stupid.
This is usually quite a bit lower. According to the separate study, refugees are less likely to work compared with other immigrants.
That might be true, but again, they're refugees, right?
For refugees is
now, if you're taking a fuck ton of refugees, which I think Sweden did, not good.
Usually
Isn't this the case in the US as well? No, I'm pretty sure most of our immigrants work.
Quite a bit lower. According to the separate study, refugees are less likely to work compared with other immigrants. Employment for refugees is basically zero for the first year in Germany, as they aren't allowed to work while their paperwork gets processed.
Exactly, yeah. But also, we need to keep in mind, too, there's different numbers between each category as well. Refugees, historically, shouldn't be a very big number, but in 2013 and after for a bit, for Syria, they were a huge number, right?
Finland, only 22% of refugees are employed after a decade.
That's really bad.
International Labor Organization.
Do you mean they can't find work or they can't work for other reasons? They can't work for a combination of reasons. Some might not speak the language or have like skills that they can actually employ in the economy. Other times there's like weird paperwork hurdles that you have to jump through to be able to work in the country because of all the labor protections and everything else. It's a complicated nightmare of bullshit, basically.
Organization seems to confirm this, with it taking about 20 years for refugees in Sweden to catch up with family reunification immigrants in terms of employment. Rigid rules to look for work, language barriers, and workplace discrimination slow down immigrants joining the workforce. For refugees, it also has to do with the bureaucracy that prevents them from working in the first place, as well as the generosity of European welfare states. In Denmark, male refugees found employment faster once they experienced benefit reductions.
Current situation that marginalized groups of unemployed, newly arrived refugees respond quickly to a large reduction of welfare benefits they are entitled to. I use two policies to double check the short response. However, whereas male refugees respond in terms of their labor market behavior, female refugees respond on other margins. The benefit reduction more than doubles the share of males who are employed 10 months after their arrival. However, it must be considered that the starting point was a very low level when cohorts who had arrived earlier also had their benefits reduced 10 months after their arrival. We will catch up with those who were treated. I wonder if this is because, assuming in the highest level of charitability, the study was done well. I could see this being the case, but also I wonder if the reduction in benefits was paired with like the ability to work. Like, okay, your paperwork is all done. You can work, and now we're going to reduce your benefits. Or if it was just like you're getting benefits, now we're going to start reducing them to save you work. I'm curious what's actually going on there. If all immigrants can work, then what is a work visa for? What? Visas are usually temporary. When you say a visa, I think the implication is a visa is temporary. If you're an immigrant, I think the implication is you're permanently immigrating. Right. Generally speaking, I believe.
This is in sharp contrast to the US, where there is less welfare and more incentives.
Some states might prefer visas because you can have a visa to bring in workers just for a season, like seasonal labor, and then send them back afterwards.
To work. Refugees catch up with the high employment rates of other immigrants after a decade, with nearly...
That's true too, though. Like if you're a refugee, I don't know if you would want to work as much too, because it probably depends on when you think you're going back home. Because like, let's say I'm a refugee in a country for 6 months. Like I truly might not give a fuck. Like I'll stay here, whatever. You want to pay me money? Fuck it. That's great until I can go back home. Why the fuck would I get a job and start like beginning a life in this country when I'm just waiting to go home? Maybe, I don't know. It might depend on where the refugees come from as well.
80% employment. It might explain why France, Italy, Germany, Denmark, and other European countries have moved to cut public benefits to refugees, but also immigrants in general, to push them into the workforce. But with most immigrants actually working, we can ask ourselves what jobs immigrants actually fill, because all the studies agree that Europe is facing a labor shortage, particularly for lower skilled professions. Well, according to the EU data, immigrants do go work in low-skilled jobs with labor shortages. But again,
we're talking about just migrants here, not necessarily refugees, right? But
immigrants actually working, we can ask ourselves what jobs immigrants actually fill, because all the studies agree that Europe is facing a labor shortage, particularly for lower skilled professions.
Wait, do you categorize refugees and asylum seekers as the same? I think they're basically the same thing, right? The only difference is an asylum seeker is already at your country before he claims that he's seeking asylum, that he wants to be a refugee, whereas a refugee, I think, registers with some body first and then is settled. Isn't a refugee and asylum seeker essentially the same, except the asylum seeker is already at the country he's trying to get asylum in? I think. Is living in your car base so you can save on rent? Depends on how cold it is where you live.
Well, according to the EU data, immigrants do go work in low-skilled jobs with labor shortages. But again, there are some huge disparities between jobs. Migrants are overrepresented in jobs like building frame workers, bartenders, and waiters in countries with no labor shortages, while at the same
we should slow this down.
time, more migrants were called upon to fill jobs like machinery mechanics and repairers, structural metal workers, drivers, and personnel care workers in countries that did have shortages. If we look at individual country data, in France, the job...
Labor shortages aren't exactly a thing. Labor shortages could be solved by higher pay, decreasing margins of the employer, but corporations love saying that there are labor shortages to encourage more immigration to decrease their labor costs by increasing labor supply. Yeah, that sounds like the most wacky, far-left thing I've ever heard in my life, but okay.
Jobs where immigrants were the likeliest to work were in household help for care and cleaning, security agents, waiters, cooks, or for municipal maintenance.
Don't suggest living in a car. Cops constantly harass you. People constantly call the cops on you. It just depends on where you go. When I was living in my car, the places that I got least harassed at were usually gas station, like truck stop parking lots. Sometimes you could park in the back. You would always want to park near the lights, but you could park in the back of like a Walmart or Target parking lot, although you could get harassed there because cops would show up sometimes there to ask what you're doing, and they'll make you leave if they think you're sleeping there. But if you go to gas stations or truck stops, I've never been harassed at one of those places before. But your mileage may vary, I guess, depending on where you are. This is when I was in Iowa, Nebraska, so.
In Germany, they were for cleaning, food production, transportation, construction, and tourism. And that's a problem considering that Europe's labor shortages are more related to talent than they are with the actual amount of workers. So does that mean that immigration is not actually contributing to fixing Europe's second problem, that of a shrinking GDP and decreasing to talent production and tourism? And that's a problem considering that Europe's labor shortages are more related to talent than they are with the actual amount of workers.
That sounds not right, but I'm too lazy to look it up right now. We'll take him at his word for it.
So does that mean that immigration is not actually contributing to fixing Europe's second problem, that of a shrinking GDP and decreasing prosperity? Well, growing your population is one of the surest ways to increase your country's GDP. In 2023, 64% of job growth and half of the economic growth in Spain can be linked to immigration. For highly skilled workers, the benefits are quite clear. They lead to productivity growth across the economy. But it's not all bad for low-skilled workers. According to the study from the World Bank, low-skilled workers might still have an impact on productivity by allowing skilled workers, mainly natives, to specialize more. For example, if one of my parents were sick, me and my siblings would have to take care of them. But by having a healthcare worker, a significant amount of whom are lower-skilled immigrants, I might be able to spend more time on the hyper-productive activity of producing YouTube videos. But this is an effect that is hard to measure, and I haven't found any studies explicitly attempting to measure it. The other way immigrants increase prosperity is by consuming goods and services. Let's say that I'm now a baker, and I sell 4 baguettes a day. If I can now sell 6 because more people moved into town, I became more productive and might now be able to hire some help to grow my business. The increased population simply makes...
Wait, what? Unemployment rates in Spain are 11.7%? Do they measure unemployment differently? Do they do like the equivalent of like labor force participation or U6 or whatever, as opposed to our U3 or? That's insanely high. Hello? Wait, what's happening here? Jesus.
More business as possible and increases quality of service. However, this increase in consumption might also pose a problem when it comes to things like housing, for which there's currently a serious supply limitation, and which I touched upon in a previous video. So while immigrants do actually grow the economy in terms of GDP, we can ask ourselves what their impact is on public finances, or in other words, whether immigrants help save the welfare state. There's this pretty new type of graph that looks at your net fiscal balance. It basically measures...
Holy shit! We derived this. We drew this on stream without even knowing about it. That's how ingenious we are. Who was here for that lesson, for lecture 427?
How much taxes you pay versus how much you receive in social benefits over the course of your lifetime. Generally speaking, you first consume a lot of welfare through child...
He even uses the same colors 12 days ago. This guy might have copied us.
...care and education. As a working adult, you produce more than you pay in, and as a retiree, you once again become a beneficiary when you receive healthcare and your pension. High-skilled people tend to be more productive, pay more taxes, and claim fewer benefits, meaning they're a net gain for the welfare state, while lower-skilled people earn less, produce less, and have a much lower contribution. 5 economists associated with the Joint Research Council of the European Union actually looked into this for different immigrant groups. The result was that non-EU immigrants contributed fewer taxes, which should come as no surprise since the bulk of them are low-skilled. Meanwhile, EU migrants, which tend to be highly educated, contributed much more than natives. The Danish government actually takes this a step further, classifying immigrants and their descendants according to their regions of origin. Middle Eastern migrants had negative fiscal contributions their entire lives because of a younger retirement age, low workforce participation, particularly for women, but also because they belong mostly to the low-skilled labor pool. Low workforce
Wait, what? Hold on. Where is this graph coming from? Figure 2.7. It would be surprising to me if the fiscal, it's always a fiscal drain, even in their prime working years. That'd be pretty bad. Can we not translate PDFs, please? Oh, is there a way to do it? Is union density a good way to short circuit an incentive to import labor? You can pay less. Shouldn't people on the right be more pro-union? That could help. Convert image to text. It is text already. Ugh. It's a document, bro, not a web page. Why do you think that would matter? It's a browser that's accessing text. It's not like Google has to fucking, like, the web page has to be online for the, what is that? What do you think that means? You consistently type the most retarded shit in chat. What the fuck? Okay. Okay. Downloading it, uploading it here. No. Oh, continue another way. Just. Wait, hold on. Documents. Thank you. Maybe. Just kidding. What the actual language? What is it, like Danish? It'll detect it. I believe in it. You should look up net financial contributions for men versus women. I guess if there's, I guess if it was only, if you were looking at only refugees and the women weren't allowed to work and they brought a lot of children, I guess it's possible. Or I guess that maybe that could even make sense, I guess. What does MENAPT mean? Middle East, North Africa, Pacific Trans? Middle East, North Africa, Pakistan, and Turkey. Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so it's the lowest employment group as well. It looks like it by far. %57% for men, 35% for women. Men and women of Danish origin is 83 and 79. So the male employment is a bit lower than all the other categories, it seems. Quite a bit, like 10 points. The female employment is much lower. Looks like 20 or 30 points lower. Oh, okay. This makes more sense. Okay. Okay, sorry. So okay. I wonder how much of this is impacted by the fact that it was like Syrian refugee crisis time as well, but when the net contributions of different origin groups are compared, part of the measured differences may thus reflect differences in the age composition between the groups. So this is one of my things, is because like typically immigrants are here before they're after their children. They come earlier, and then sometimes they'll even leave before, especially if they're refugees or whatever. So the idea that you're having these huge drains from these immigrants that aren't like consuming the child welfare stuff or the elderly welfare stuff, I'm like, damn, that seems pretty crazy. But the negative contributions from descendants are primarily due to the fact that descendants predominantly include children and young people who draw on public services, but only contribute to a lesser extent. When standardizing for the underlying differences in the age composition between the groups, the net contribution thus increases for Western and non-Western descendants. Immigrants typically would come to the country later in life and many leave again before retirement age. Immigrants are thus overrepresented in the working age group compared to the group of persons of Danish origin, and the age standardization, therefore, means that the average net contributions for immigrants falls. So here they did... So this isn't; these net contributions aren't measured. These are age adjusted. These are age adjusted to make the demographics more equal. which explains why it's so low. Although I'm surprised that this one here is still a negative. But if less than half the population is working, then that could make sense, I guess. But the average net contribution for the origin group is calculated in the hypothetical scenario where the age composition of the origin group corresponds to the age composition persons of Danish origin. I wonder how many refugees are still in Europe from Syria. Like, did most of them go home, or I wonder how much are still, or how many are still in Europe? Syria population was at 22.6 million in 2012, and now they're back up to 22.13 million. That was 10 years ago, though, so I don't know how much is like population, like replacement versus okay. Everybody in chat spamming birth rate and no are totally just fucking making it up. Okay, doesn't seem like the birth rate is at all corresponding to that. That's good. Glad I've got my Europeans in here right now to say retarded shit. I don't know what any of these abbreviations are. AS. Which country do you think that is? LBN is Lebanon. IRQ is Iraq. SIR. What do you think that means? Is Syria... What's the name of Syria? Is it Syria Islamic Republic or something? What is the Syria country name right now? No fucking idea. Syrian Arab Republic. What is SIR? A while back, you made a comment that Euros in general are more racist than American. Were you memeing or serious? I was probably memeing when I said it. Everybody deals with racism in their own way. These are because it's a translation, the abbreviations might be mixed around a little bit. There's no way this is Saudi Arabia, though. Right? AS has to be something different. Oh, Somalia, maybe. That would make sense, actually. Okay, we don't have time to look at all this, but okay. We'll take the YouTuber guy at his word.
Participation, particularly for women, but also because they belong mostly to the low-skilled labor pool. So what is immigration's participation? Migrants takes this a step further, classifying immigrants and their descendants according to their regions of origin. Middle Eastern migrants had negative fiscal contributions their entire lives because of a younger retirement age, low workforce participation, particularly for women, but also because they belong mostly to the low-skilled labor pool. So what is immigration?
Well, it seemed like it was mostly because of the low... Well, one, that is an age-adjusted chart, right? So it's already a little... That's not bad to do age adjustment to check, but it seemed like it was mainly due to the low labor participation rate. But I guess they also probably are in low-skilled jobs as well, but...
Actual impact on public finances. Well, high-skilled workers and EU immigrants actually make huge contributions in terms of taxes, which is why European countries are actively fighting each other to attract young and highly skilled workers, but also talent from across the world. For low-skilled immigrants, that's less clear-cut. On the surface level, most of the benefit comes from the fact that there's a demographic dividend to adding workers without having to raise or educate them. Refugees have additional costs on the welfare state when they arrive in the form of housing, handouts, and education, some of which may last a long time if they aren't put to work. But there are some pretty big differences between countries about the impact of these immigrants on government balances. This study looking into the total amount of taxes versus benefits received between 2007 and 2018 found that in Germany, France, and Sweden, non-EU immigrants were net drained and performed worse than natives. In Spain, Italy, Portugal, in 2018 found that in Germany, France, and Sweden, non-EU
I don't understand this graph. Net fiscal position by migration background. Natives. Are natives a net drain? I guess everybody's a net drain if you run a budget deficit, huh? I guess that's how that works. Why is it that if you even touch a USB cable, why does it reset? What's happening? Like, what's going on with this? Why? Why would it do that? Why is even just tapping a cable? Why would it make it reset? Why? Triggering me.
EU immigrants were a net drained and performed worse than native.
Turn Windows sounds off. Why do you need them? Why? Because I want to know if shit is getting plugged in or unplugged from my computer. Why would I turn off my Windows sounds?
Benefits received between 2007 and 2018 found that in Germany, France, and Sweden, non-EU immigrants were a net drained and performed worse than natives. In Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, and Ireland, immigrants, including non-EU immigrants, paid more taxes and drew out fewer benefits than natives.
Jesus Christ. I think Germany and Sweden might have been the people that took in the most percentage of refugees, I think.
In Spain, Italy, Portugal, Greece, and Ireland, immigrants, including non-EU immigrants, paid more taxes and drew out fewer benefits than natives. If I had to guess, this can be linked with the age structure of immigrants in those countries, who tend to be more recent arrivals and younger, and therefore likelier to work. But this isn't the full picture. After all, there might be some additional benefits that we aren't taking into account, in the form of what's called indirect fiscal benefits to immigration. After all, if immigrants...
German debt has been trending down mostly. I'm very confused by that fiscal graph. Where's the money coming from? Well, careful what you're looking at here. This is government debt in Germany in percentage of gross domestic product. So it could be that the debt is actually increasing or it's stable, but the GDP is rising faster than the debt is as a percentage. So the debt percentage of GDP is falling. That could be the case, right?
Immigrants increase the output of other workers, particularly the highly skilled, then some of their higher output might be assigned to the immigrants themselves. If, for example, the healthcare assistant for my parents allows me to produce 3 videos a month instead of 2, then perhaps some of my productivity and the taxes I pay could actually be down to his or her help. Again, this effect is hard to measure directly in an economy, but according to Mark Collis and Dominique Sachs, modeling the effects in the US, it's estimated that it would make up $750 in taxes per immigrant. That's not enough to make up for the total gap between welfare and taxes, but still pretty significant. Now, I couldn't find any comparable study about Europe, but based off of the parameters between welfare and taxes, but still pretty significant. Now, I couldn't find any comparable study about Europe, but based off of the parameters on which this is calculated, which include the size of social benefits, worker participation, and income, if we had to guess the size of this effect for European countries compared to the US, I would say it's quite a bit smaller. While low-skilled immigrants offer short-term economic dividends due to their age, if they settle permanently, as Europe's immigration systems usually allow them to, then the cost they pose on Europe's welfare system will increase as they age and retire, but also when they have children. According to the Joint Research Council study, across nearly all welfare systems of the EU, the cost of non-EU children is far greater than that of native or EU children. Immigrant families tend to be much larger and subsidized to Europe's welfare states to alleviate poverty and improve educational outcomes of lower income groups. The only reason that this isn't the case in the so-called Mediterranean corporatist model seems to be that Spain and Italy have some of the stingiest family support policies for new parents, meaning they give out little in general, resulting in the low differences between immigrants and natives. While these children support policies...
Public expenditure on family by type of expenditure as a percentage of GDP. Oh man, we're really comparing some wild figures here. I don't know if this would be a good point of comparison or not. It might be. I'm too lazy to heavily consider it. It might be. Public expenditure on family by type of expenditure as a percentage of GDP. I wonder if it would be, if you did public expenditure on family by type of expenditure as a percentage of GDP per capita. I wonder if this would change this trend, if it would change at all, if it would look any different. I have no idea. I'm not sure.
For new parents.
Is it claimed that higher expenditures correlate with higher productivity? No. He's saying that higher money spent here means that the immigrant family is going to be more likely to be a fiscal drain on the society, which immediately that sounds true. Intuitively, that sounds true. I'm just curious about the measuring as a percentage of GDP, if that would be the most appropriate way to do it or not. Maybe, I don't know.
Meaning they give out little in general, resulting in the low differences between immigrants and natives. While these children could eventually help with the lack of workers, if we look into PISA scores, an international standardized test, the human capital of immigrant-descended children in European countries is usually far lower than that of native children. And despite some gains for the second-generation immigrants, it remains much lower than natives still. This can often be explained by the lower educational background of parents, but it also shows that catching up for some communities, if at all possible, is at the very least a multi-generational endeavor. And it depends on how well immigrants' descendants are integrated. While EU-descended immigrants tend to outperform natives in the labor market, have better jobs and higher employment rates, it's fair to say that in many European countries, EU-descended immigrants tend to outperform natives in the labor market, have better...
While EU-descended immigrants tend to outweigh.
And it depends on how well immigrants' descendants are integrated. While EU-descended immigrants tend to outperform natives in the labor market...
EU-descended immigrants tend to outperform natives in the labor market. Why would that be? Maybe if most of the initial immigrants were high skill, their children tend to be high skill? As it compared to the broad population?
Have better jobs and higher employment rates, it's fair to say that in many European countries, integration of certain non-EU communities has lagged. According to Eurostat, the average employment of all immigrants across the EU was nearly 7% lower for second-generation migrants than for natives, and lower than the first generation, though there are some huge disparities between countries. In Belgium, Ireland, and Spain, the second-gen immigrants perform far worse than their parents, while in Germany and the Netherlands, countries. In Belgium, Ireland, and Spain, second-gen immigrants perform far worse than their parents.
Employment rate, Jesus. This has to be by this. There has to be something like in Italy. Is it 38% of second? That's the employment rate for second gen. Is this including like children who are too young to work, or because even the native and the first gens here are very, very, very low. This has to be like labor force participation or something, is my guess. I don't like that. I wish we used clearer words here instead of like employment rate. I don't know what that means.
While in Germany and the Netherlands, second-generation immigrants caught up a bit with natives. While this might mean that many immigrants and their descendants are involved in the informal economy, it also means that these descendants are less likely to pay taxes. And because of the high cost of raising children, lower participation of second-gen immigrants in the workforce, low-skilled immigration is likely a drain on the welfare state in the long run. But if we only look at these aspects, we might forget that there are some other aspects of immigration that we need to talk about. And that's because it's impossible to talk about immigration without looking at how it affects natives. When we look at the full picture, like what Anthony Ito and Sem Ozguzel did for European countries, immigration in general has been mostly bad for low-skilled natives, who saw decreases in employment in the short term, which eventually returned to more of a long-term equilibrium. Meanwhile, skilled workers saw gains in the long run. But the picture's actually a bit more complicated if we apply the categories that we talked about at the start of the video. And that's because as a native, you benefit more from the immigrants different from you. Low-skilled laborers, particularly those that were immigrants themselves, are affected by the arrival of other immigrants who compete for the same jobs. It might explain why, in the plot twist that no one expected, the anti-immigration AfD in Germany has been targeting the ethnic minority votes. They're the ones most at risk from newer immigrants taking their jobs and are the most impacted in terms of their salaries. So this seems to suggest that, all in all, low-skilled migration is bad for low-skilled workers since it raises their unemployment and decreases their wages, while it increases the opportunity for skilled workers. But there are also some societal-wide aspects to immigration which also have impacts on the economy. If including immigrants leads to declining social trust and cohesion, then that's an economic cost that's difficult to take into account in the calculations that we previously talked about. What makes this worse is the link between immigration, particularly poorly integrated immigration, and crime, which could be the subject of an entirely new video. But it's something that is taken seriously by investors to France who were afraid of the lack of safety in the country, as well as the head of Sweden's central bank who is concerned about the gang war's effect on their economy. So do the pros for immigration outweigh the cons? Well, it depends on the type of immigration. When it comes to labor shortages, high-skilled immigration has a limited impact since most shortages are for less qualified positions. While low-skilled workers help to a degree, they only have limited employment in critical sectors. Refugees, due to low-skilled and employment levels, have limited impacts for most countries. For prosperity and GDP, both high-skilled and low-skilled immigrants raise it through their work and by being consumers, whereas refugees mostly do so by being consumers. Finally, when it comes to the welfare state, high-skilled immigration is a net positive, low-skilled immigration is a positive in the short run while costly in the long term, whereas refugees are a net drain. But might there be a way to change this balance and fix Europe's migration policy? Well, Europe's first lever should be to be more selective on who it lets in and who comes into their countries. Long-term economic costs should mean that it should try to limit low-skilled immigration. Europe's current migration policy, which is driven to a significant extent by refugees and family reunification, whereby immigrants are allowed to bring their families over, is not a great recipe for solving its three main economic challenges. It's mostly low-skilled, tends to have low labor force participation, increasing the burden on the welfare state without helping tackle labor shortages in the sectors Europe really needs. One way to do this would be to implement a guest worker model similar to the one that was there in the 1960s and 70s, where workers were not allowed to bring their families and expected to return home after the end of their contracts. It's currently the model in place for Poland and actually much of the rest of the world. The challenge these days is that labor migration is often tied to family reunification, and the fact that family reunification has been Europe's policy for the past 20 years means that it will be very hard to put the genie back in the bottle and return to a guest worker model. The other way to make it more beneficial is by putting immigrants to work, where they are needed. Denmark has managed to increase the labor participation rate of its foreign-born population by pressuring immigrants into the workforce. In 2021, it announced that it was making social benefits for migrant women dependent on 37 hours of weekly work, while also providing educational opportunities to them. In fact, Germany's latest immigration law allows migrants to come to the country to pursue a vocational education before giving them employment opportunities. But the thing is, there are significant trade-offs between the solutions to Europe's three different goals. Short-term financing of the welfare state through mass low-skilled immigration is at odds with the long-term, and finding sufficient amount of workers is easier if you allow family reunification visas, but that would again have an impact on the welfare states. Alternatively, there's another option, if we judge that migration is simply not worth it economically or that the impact on social fabric is too high. We can decide to go for the Japan route and severely restrict it. Japan is by far the world's oldest country, and unlike many Western societies, it has received only extremely limited amounts of immigration, which makes up less than 2% of its population. As a result, Japan's attempt to limit the decline of its workforce have been focused primarily on increasing labor force participation to include more women and the elderly. While that has been somewhat successful and increased the number of workers, overall the Japanese labor force is shrinking alongside its population. This has meant decreased tax revenue, a decline in the service industry, a fall in consumption and savings as more money is redirected to taking care of the elderly. For companies, there has been a loss of knowledge as the younger generation is too small to absorb what was known by the previous generation, resulting in more workplace accidents. Companies are going bankrupt due to an inability to find workers, with a 444% increase in corporate bankruptcies between 2013 and 2019. Combined with a culture of long hours, chronic labor shortages has left its working population overworked, with one study saying that 22% of Japanese companies have employees working at levels that expose them to a serious risk of death. Yikes. And because its elderly can't fill agricultural or construction jobs, which are some of the oldest professions in the country, with the average Japanese farmer being almost 69 years old, Japan is now having to turn to some level of immigration for seasonal work. But that's not the only place where it has changed. The country has been overhauling its migration policy since 2018 to open its doors to lower skilled immigration, though most of it temporary and limited to countries that are judged similar, like Vietnam. Yet even now, restrictive immigration policies which limit the possibility for family reunification and permanent residency means that it struggles to reach its quotas for key yet lower skilled jobs like technicians. And to make matters worse, since most immigration is temporary, employers are not too keen on investing in training for staff, leading to low productivity of immigrant workers. So Japan's near-zero immigration pathway is hardly the magical society that it's sometimes pointed out to be. So where does that leave us, and how much immigration does your country need? Since this is an optimization problem, there isn't a clear-cut answer. It depends on welfare and integration policies, population aging, the retirement age, cultural identity factors that all shift with political preferences over time. It also depends on what society Europe wants. Does it want older, less populated, and less dynamic countries but with more cohesion, or younger, more dynamic economies at the cost of that social cohesion? That's the question that Europe's migration policy, or lack thereof, is answering for us. Since most immigration to Europe is through regular channels, Europeans actually have a say in the demographic and economic future of their continent through their votes. But what do you think? How much immigration does Europe actually need or should accept? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. After this video, I have many more questions related to integration, cultural compatibility, and the future of competition for immigration between countries to increase their labor force, which I hope to address in the future. If you've made it this far, I have one more message for you. As you can tell, this video is quite long, and the reason for that is that in one of my previous videos on Europe's housing crisis, I tried to condense so much information into a 12-minute format that I missed a lot of things. A lot of the legitimate criticism that I received were things that I knew already, and that existed in the 4 previous versions of the script. But the result was a video that, as some of you pointed out, focused solely on the immigration dimension and was unbalanced. In the future, I'm quite determined to be as thorough as possible, and so the result is this longer, deep dive format. This type of video costs more time to make, and because of the nature of the subject, just like for previous videos related to immigration, I'm not putting a sponsor. So if you would like to support this type of work, I would like to redirect you to the Into Your Patreon. Over the past couple of months, I've been turning to a crowdfunding campaign to help reach my 700 euro goal of renting out an office space where I can build a fixed studio, instead of recording in my co-working space. With the latest videos, my Patreon supporters recently reached 180 euros a month. So if you'd like to support the channel and more work like this one, go check out the Into Your Patreon.
Wow. I feel like for the most part, this is an okay video. Immigrants of all different types, high skill, low skill, refugees, whatever, can offer benefits, can offer negatives. The goal for any country should be to capitalize on the benefits as much as possible, decrease the negatives as much as possible. Yeah, I think it's fair. Let me grab a Red Bull. Hold on. Yeah, what does this comment section look like? These aren't, you know what? These aren't even that bad. These aren't even that bad. What is this?
So what's your take?
My take is the most neglected part of home ownership is the gutters.
Wrong. Amateur. He's an amateur. Let me tell you about gutters, okay? Gutters are there to catch leaves, to make sure they don't fall into your lawn. And then once your gutters are full of leaves, water is supposed to leak down the sides of your house until you sink into the hole and forever disappear. And then you build another house on top of the first one. Easy.
It's personal for me.
100% agree.
I've had problems with gutters before. You get your basement wet, you get ice dams, causes a lot of problems.
It's not good.
No, it is not, but there are fixes. Now the other
Bad gutters can fuck your entire foundation and your entire house up. Like everything about your life can be fucked. In case you didn't know, man, I hate owning homes. God, I hate houses. It's personal for me. It is personal for me. I hate homes. Okay. Just as a quick meme, when you have a house, one of the reasons why you have gutters, okay? Now, people might think, oh, cool, you've got gutters because you don't want rain falling on your face when you walk outside from having it leak down your fucking roof or whatever, right? Wrong, okay? Gutters are here. I don't know why this is the case, but gutters are here because your house, if you just let the rainwater accumulate around the side of your house will sink into the fucking earth and explode, okay? Ideally, your gutters drain, and then they drain into something that moves the water away from your house, down into the street or into some other area where it's not causing the dirt and everything on the sides of your house. Your house is resting going to become soft and then sink and fuck your foundation up and your house up and everything else up. So cleaning your gutters is not just something you do so that water's not dripping on you, or your gutters aren't clogged and they look bad. It's supposed to be here to protect the foundation of your house, at least in the Midwest. I don't. Maybe in other places it's different, but
there are fixes. Now, the other dangerous thing is that when you live in Minnesota, fall's a great time of year, a lot of leaves. You got to get up on a ladder.
And they get stuck in the gut.
Does anybody know if the leaf guard bullshit, does that actually work? I know there used to be commercials for it. Leaf guard gutters, where somehow the gutters don't have leaves fall into them. I don't know if they...
A lot of leaves. You got to get up on a ladder.
And they get stuck in the gutter. The leaves get stuck in the gutter. I've seen many a man fall off the ladder.
Many a man, seriously.
Many a man fall off the ladder.
But there's a fix. You can put a gutter helmet over.
Oh, okay. So that's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Over the top of it.
A gutter helmet?
It covers it. It lets the water go through, keeps it out of your house. I see this all the time.
How often do you like looking at gutters?
I look quite often, surprisingly, because I can't.
Oh, because you can immediately spot who the lazy neighbor is, because you can see when somebody doesn't clean their gutters, the leaves are just piled. You can see them immediately.
Judge it.
The worst is having to shovel the snow off the roof so it doesn't break. True.
I try not to be judgmental on people, but when I see a well-tended gutter, it says a lot about somebody. So,
what's better, a well-tended lawn or a well-tended gutter?
I'd go with the gutters.
100%. There's no doubt in your mind.
No, I think gutters are a big thing that they really matters.
Where do you buy gutters?
The downspouts I bought at Menards.
Save big money at
Menards. That's exactly right.
That's not how. That's not.
No,
the
I know you're right. I'm not good at that.
You gonna leave it hanging like that?
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, you ready?
On three.
Save big money at Menards. And keep your receipts, 11% rebates, but you got to send them in. It's a little bit of a challenge, but keep your receipts, you send it in. About 6 weeks later, you'll get your 11% back.
These are great takes. And you believe that cheese belongs on the inside of the burger.
I know this is very controversial for folks, but it's
not controversial.
Not for where you come from. You've been at Juicy Lucy.
Doesn't everyone agree?
I
have a song called Juicy Lucy.
Leaf guards is a scam. Don't get it. I blew thousands on it. Works great for a few months, then stops working. Damn. Were you the guy who cut his lawn often, or did you always have tall grass and never cut it, or just pay someone to cut it? I was a twice a monther. Once every 2 weeks, okay? Now, maybe I would have cut my lawn once a week instead of once every 2 weeks, like the true Giga Chad. But the guy behind me was insane, okay? The guy behind me, he was one of those guys that imported fucking Kentucky bluegrass or fuck that guy. And fuck, this guy must have had no life. He had nothing going for him in life besides his fucking lawn. And you better believe that no matter when I went out to mow my lawn, this motherfucker would cancel all of his plans and he would grab his bullshit ass white chair and he would sit down and he would watch me mow it. But I knew he was judging me the whole time. Fuck that dude. And fuck that guy's grass. You could immediately tell where we didn't even have a fence. Probably still doesn't have one. There, between my lawn and his lawn were the absolutely perfect, the bluish greenish hue, the dense, the thick, the lush grass, and then my boring ass, basic ass, whatever the fuck kind of grass that I had. Oh my God, fuck that guy. Gutter guards keep the leaves out, but your gutters will accumulate small debris over a few more years and still require cleaning. Menards W. Did you mulch your bag? Who the fuck is bagging? What are you talking about? But you mulched so that the lawn can feed on its dead ancestors. Mate.
By the way, you can play it at your route.
You do?
Yeah. I'll send it to you right after this.
Why did I not know that?
It's a deep cut.
It's a you send it in, about 6 weeks later, you'll get your 11% back.
These are great takes. And you believe that cheese belongs on the inside of the burger.
I know this is very controversial for folks, but it's
not controversial.
Not for where you come from. You've been on Juicy Lucy.
Doesn't everyone agree?
I don't think
have
they
a song
do.
called Juicy Lucy, by the way. You can play it at your route.
You do?
Yeah. I'll send it to you right after this.
Why did I not know that?
It's a deep cut.
It's a
Just like the burger itself. They're delicious.
I do believe it should be inside.
It's like a hot chocolate molten lava cake, except beef and cheese.
He knows his Minnesota.
Yeah.
He knows his Minnesota well.
If there's too much grass and mulch, it will suffocate the grass underneath. And then what? It'll kill it? And then I have even less grass to mow? That sounds like that's called a win-win, my friend. That's like sleeping with your baby. What, you could accidentally roll over and kill it? Pfft, that sounds like less diapers to change. We call that a win-win, my friend. They publicly stole the 2020 election. They successfully mitigated a Republican landslide in 2022. They're going to try it again in 2024. The Democratic Party is politically dying. All they have left is cheating. Rob Knorr reposted. Really? Wait, Destiny, what's the first win in that? Sleeping with your baby. Your baby's adorable. When you're a new parent, it's sad as fuck putting your newborn in the other room and then hearing him cry. And he's like just come out of your wife and then you just abandon him to the crib. But you're supposed to be careful. I've heard different trains of thought on this. I don't know what the right choice is. We slept with our baby, okay? Our baby's adorable. But I'm not entirely sure where the research is on that. Some people say that you shouldn't sleep with your baby because you can roll over onto him and suffocate him or her. But when I was a parent, I'm still a parent. I just don't sleep with Nathan anymore. I feel like you're hypersensitive to your kid moving. Like if he moved a little bit or started crying or did whatever, you'd wake up. It's like, oh shit. But maybe it's not always like that. Maybe some people drink. Or maybe some people are heavier sleepers, or I'm not sure. I don't know what that. I know some people didn't like to put their kids in the cradle, bassinet, whatever the fuck, because they were worried about SID, sudden infant death syndrome, and that's more likely to happen early on. I don't know if any of that matters. I'm not sure. Just don't kill your kid, okay? Good luck. Why did you stop sleeping with Nathan? Because you moved? Well, he was 8 years old when I moved. Okay? I stopped sleeping with Nathan when he was 7. That's weird. One year after Rachel stopped breastfeeding him. My grandpa made an autonomous lawnmower because he was recovering from back surgery and it almost killed a child. It was in the news. If I show this on stream, won't you be doxing yourself? I don't even know if I believe that this is you. Jesus.
But no, I don't think that. But that would have been more likely. I feel like.
And my comment was in reference to wanting to get to the video, not into speculating that a Hassan fan would be a pedo. Just
It's not speculation. It's straight up fucking. That's just a matter of fact at this point.
To be fair,
he has a big audience.
He could have picked it up at a local Goodwill or something.
Surely it must have been a Goodwill pickup.
He bought that shit.
Maybe it'll be explained in the edit. Let's just
he
jump right
absolutely
into it.
purchased that fucking
Jesus
wholesale, bitch,
Christ.
full MSRP. Anyway, pretty
Do
funny.
not listen. You do not want to go. You don't want the bad karma. You don't want somebody in Teddy Fresh showing up on one of these. That's
Well,
what I'm
we
trying
had
to
a
say.
pretty funny. I mean, listen, there's a lot of people wearing Teddy Fresh. Is one of them a pedophile? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, almost
not
almost
probably.
certainly. I mean, it's almost a guaranteed
0% chance.
You know,
nobody who wears Teddy Fresh
there's nothing
would ever
about
do
Teddy
such a
Fresh,
thing
the
to a
brand, that is like encouraging people to be pedos.
No.
So it's kind of out of my control. But you know what I mean?
Nope.
Interesting that he's a socialist. That seems more libertarian in values. The whole wanting to fuck kids thing, but
I don't know if it's a weight loss. I feel like Ethan looks like 10 years younger. Jesus.
Anyway, shout out Hassan. Nice, an unexpected crossover. Let's go ahead and watch this clip. Thank you, AB, for putting this together.
It's the Gen Z perm. Do you hear the 50 hertz hum? Wait, no?
Oh, it's kind of out of my control, but you know what I mean? Is one of them a pedophile?
There's a little hum, but I think it's like an AC or something in the back. But no, their audio's fine. I'd give it a A-.
The brand that is
Okay. 2 more things and then boring time.
All right.
We'll do this one first, I guess. I don't know what the fuck this is.
Destiny knows that he is visibly shaking. You can see it. Look at the chair. It shows vibrations. Look at his arms. This shows that beneath his rationalization, his subconscious knows that something is off. You can feel it in your words when you're not on firm footing.
1 million views. What is the YouTube algorithm?
Did he really get 1 million views on that video? Wait, what?
When you're not on firm footing.
1 million.
Holy shit. Wait, is that true? What was his name? Was it Warren Smith?
Destiny.
Oh, I guess it got picked up because of the huge response to my Republican hatred. Jesus. Damn. This guy got 1 million views on this video. It was really negative about me. And he still came on and he did the focus group thing. And engaged in good faith. A+. I got high hopes for this guy. He's like on the... Could be a potential villain in the future. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
1 million views. What is the YouTube algorithm cooking? Destiny knows he's visibly shaking. You can see it. Look at his head. It shows vibrations. Look at him jump. It shows the cuck energy he keeps bottled inside bursting out. Just like the semen of his wife's boyfriend.
When I heard that there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, I was in the car with my mom, who is someone who deeply loathes Trump. I was able to hook up my phone, go to a YouTube live stream. We saw the visuals, and her response was deeply human. It was shock and sadness.
Why so dramatic and serious and yet hypnotic as well? Strikes a strange tone, this guy. He's got that Hypno JOI soundtrack in the background.
Do not come.
Why was I link this?
Do not come.
I feel like this guy, I feel like this dude, I feel like you linked your own video in my chat and you're trying to bait me to watching it. Okay, listen, you got a minute or two. Okay, that's more than most. You got a minute.
3-day slides.
What is this?
And this is what happens when you get ready to go back into bear markets. And I said, I only see 570. Why isn't it updating? On what? All right, we're in bear market. StockMarketMoney.com told you it was coming. If you don't believe me, we're down 727 points, and we got all the short sales. Apple's down to $230. Look at that. Look at it. Take them all out for the big bounce off the bottom. I told everybody that you couldn't stay overbought. This is what happens when you get overbought. And we told everyone in the Dow was coming. We told you that we didn't want to see you get hooked, and you may be hooked.
Fuck, we need to go back to, we need to do some crypto day trading streams.
Here you go. I'm told it's 835. The Dow ticker. Wow, almost 1,000 points. We call this a capitulation. Whoa, look at that NASDAQ 100. Whoa, look at that. Almost 1,000 points down. That's a big shakeout. They're going to probably halt trading. We can't stop the...
Wait, when somebody says, like, the Dow Jones, you asked me that it's at 1,000 points. Is that what the fuck are the points? What does that actually mean? What are the points for the Dow Jones representing? Does it like, did it start at like 100% like when the index is started, or because the index deals with companies worth billions of dollars, a simple method of displaying their change in value was formulated. Thus, Charles Dow used points rather than dollars. Points represent dollars, but the ratio is not 1-to-1. What the fuck does that even mean? Each point is 0.01% of what? Okay, don't care. Too complicated.
Even Kramer doesn't know what to think. How do you like it? It's called 900 points down. We told you people not to get involved in that. We told you 2 weeks ago. What happens to exuberance is that it...
Isn't it literally just a decrease in the dollar value of the share? Well, typically a point, if you say that like a point up or down, that's supposed to help you know that a percentage has moved. So like if I say from 90 to 91% is not a, that's not a 1% increase. That's a 1 point increase. So a point should represent a percentage point. But people will say like the Dow Jones is like, oh, the Dow Jones is up, 300 points today or whatever. But the Dow Jones didn't increase by 300 percentage point. So I don't know what the points mean or stand for there. It stands for something different. I just don't know what, or I don't know how they index it or what it, yeah.
Exuberance can make up the difference in one day. I can't even keep up with the TikTok. I haven't seen this. Buddy, you could have done it a long time ago. Buddy, look at Apple Computer. Cancel all orders. Cancel.
Who even is Dow Jones? Good question. I have no clue.
All orders.
Who is S&P? Is Standard & Poor? Am I making that up? S&P. Yeah, who is Standard & Poor? Who are those two people? Who knows? Is it a company? Or is it two guys? Is it just two random nouns?
Cancel all orders. Look at that, down 1,000 points. This is what happens to the bulls when they got that exuberance. And I told everyone about the Dow history. And this is it on the tape. It was down over 1,000. 3-day slides.
God damn.